From translation, RSV Revised Standard Version, this 145th day of the year, today we are reading passages, Nehemiah 4-6, Nehemiah chapter 4, verses 1 to 23. But when Sanballat heard that we were building the wall, he was angry and greatly enraged, and he mocked the Jews. And he spoke before his brethren and the army of Samaria, and said, What are these feeble Jews doing? Will they restore it for themselves? Will they sacrifice and make an end in a day? Will they revive the stones out of the heaps of rubbish, and those that are burned? Tobiah the Ammonite was at his side, and he said, Yes, what they are building, if a fox goes up on it, he will break down their stone wall. Hear, O our God, for we are despised. Turn back their taunt upon their own heads, and give them over to be plundered in a land where they are captives. Do not cover their guilt, and let not their sin be blotted out from before thee, for they have provoked thee to anger in the presence of the builders. Build the wall, and we will not be slack in it. We will work with one hand and hold a weapon with the other. And Judah said, The strength of the burden bearers is failing, and there is too much rubble, so we are unable to work on the wall. And our enemies said, They will not know or perceive, until we come among them and kill them and stop the work. But when the Jews who lived near them came, they told us 10 times, From all places where you return to us they will attack us. Therefore I stationed some of the people behind the lowest parts of the wall, at the exposed places, and I stationed the people by families, with their swords, their spears, and their bows. And I looked and rose up, and said to the nobles and the officials and all the people, Do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great and awesome, and fight for your brethren, your sons and your daughters, your wives and your homes. When our enemies heard that it was known to us, and that God had frustrated their purpose, we all returned to the wall, every one to his work. And from that day on, half of my servants worked on construction, and half held the spears, shields, bows, and coats of mail. And the leaders stood behind all the house of Judah. Those who were rebuilding the wall and those who carried burdens loaded themselves, so that with one hand they worked at construction, and with the other hand held a weapon. And each of the builders had his sword girded at his side while he built. The man who sounded the trumpet was beside me. And I said to the nobles and the officials and the rest of the people, The work is great and extensive, and we are separated on the wall, far from one another. Wherever you hear the sound of the trumpet, rally to us there. Our God will fight for us. And I set 2 great companies of those who performed the work, and others stood behind all the house of Judah, the same as those who carried burdens, with those who laded, each with one hand worked at the work, and with the other hand held his weapon. And the builders had each his sword girded at his side while he built, and the man who sounded the trumpet was beside me. Then I said to the people, Let each man with his servant lodge within Jerusalem, that in the night they may be a guard for us and may labor. And I said, The work is great and extensive, and we are separated on the wall, far from one another. So I stationed some of the people in the lowest parts of the wall, at the exposed places, and I appointed the people by families, with their swords, their spears, and their bows. And the rest of the people, the priests, the Levites, the gatekeepers, the singers, and the temple servants, and all Israel, dwelt in their towns. Nehemiah chapter 5, verses 1-19. Now there arose a great outcry of the people and of their wives against their Jewish brethren. For there were those who said, With our sons and our daughters we are many. Let us get grain that we may eat and live. There were also those who said, We are mortgaging our fields, our vineyards, and our houses to get grain because of the famine. And there were those who said, We have borrowed money for the king's tribute upon our fields and our vineyards. Now our flesh is as the flesh of our brethren, our children are as their children. Yet we are forcing our sons and our daughters to be slaves, and some of our daughters have already been enslaved. It is not in our power to help it, since other men have our fields and our vineyards. I was very angry when I heard their outcry and these words. I took counsel with myself, and I brought charges against the nobles and the officials. I said to them, You are exacting interest from your own brethren. And I held a great assembly against them. And I said to them, We, as far as we are able, have bought back our Jewish brethren who have been sold to the nations. But you are selling your brethren, that they may be sold to us. They were silent, and could not find a word to say. But I said, What you are doing is not good. Ought you not to walk in the fear of our God, to prevent the reproach of our Gentile enemies? I and my brethren and my servants are lending them money and grain. Let us exact no interest. Restore to them this very day their fields, their vineyards, their olive orchards, and their houses, and the 100th part of the money, the grain, the wine, and the oil that you have exacted from them. Then they said, We will restore it, and require nothing from them. We will do as you say. And I called the priests and made them swear to do this. I also shook out the fold of my garment and said, So may God shake out every man from his house, and from his labor who does not keep this promise. So may he be shaken out and emptied. And all the assembly said, Amen, and praised the Lord. And the people did as they had promised. Moreover, from the time that I was appointed to be their governor in the land of Judah, from the 20th year to the 32nd year of Artaxerxes the king, 12 years, neither I nor my brethren ate the governor's food allowance. The former governors who were before me laid heavy burdens upon the people, and took from them for bread and wine, and 40 shekels of silver. Even their servants lorded it over the people, but so did not I, because of the fear of God. I also held fast to the work on this wall, and had no land, and all my servants were gathered there for the work. Moreover, there were at my table 150 Jews and officials, besides those who came to us from the nations that were around us. That which was prepared for each day 1 ox and 6 choice sheep, also fowls were prepared for me, and once in 10 days an abundance of all kinds of wine. Yet for all this I did not demand the governor's food allowance, because the service was heavy upon this people. Remember me, O my God, for good, according to all that I have done for this people. Nehemiah chapter 6, verses 1 to 19. Now when Sanballat and Tobiah, and Geshem the Arab and the rest of our enemies heard that I had rebuilt the wall, and that there was no breach left in it, though up to that time I had not set the doors in the gates, Sanballat and Geshem sent to me, saying, Come, let us meet together in the villages of the Ono valley. But they intended to do me harm. And I sent messengers to them, saying, I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you? And they sent to me 4 times in this way, and I answered them in the same manner. Then Sanballat sent his servant to me in the same manner, a 5th time, with an open letter in his hand. In it was written, It is reported among the nations, and Geshem also says it, that you and the Jews intend to rebel. That is why you are building the wall, and you wish to become their king, according to these reports. And you have also set up prophets to proclaim concerning you in Jerusalem, There is a king in Judah. And now it will be reported to the king according to these words. Come therefore and let us take counsel together. Then I sent to him, saying, Such things as you are saying have never been done, nor have my companions done what you say that you are trying to do. For they all wanted to frighten us, thinking their hands will drop from the work, and it will not be done. But now, O God, strengthen my hands. When I went to the house of Shemaiah the son of Delaiah, son of Mehetabel, who was shut up at home, he said, Let us meet together in the house of God, within the temple, and let us close the doors of the temple, for they are coming to kill you, and they are coming to kill you by night. But I said, Should such a man as I flee? And what man such as I could go into the temple and live? I will not go in, and I realized that God had not sent him, but that he pronounced this prophecy against me because Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. He was hired that I should be afraid and act thus and sin, and so they get a bad name, in order to taunt me. Remember, O my God, Tobiah and Sanballat according to these their works, and also the prophetess Noadiah and the rest of the prophets who wanted to make me afraid. The wall was finished on the 25th day of the month Elul, in 52 days. And when all our enemies heard of it, all the nations round about us were afraid and fell exceedingly in their own eyes. For they perceived that this work had been accomplished with the help of our God. Moreover, in those days, the nobles of Judah sent many letters to Tobiah, and Tobiah's letters came to them. For many in Judah were bound by oath to him, because he was the son-in-law of Shechaniah the son of Arah, and Jehohanan his son had married the daughter of Meshullam the son of Berechiah. For they kept reporting to me his good deeds, and then telling him what I said, and Tobiah sent letters to frighten me.